Hello everyone, I'm home. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go on a little drive through rural Indiana. This is what it looks like all around us. Real dry corn getting ready to be harvested, and they're already harvesting. It's just beautiful. I like to look at all the corn and the beans. We drove around the other night and looked at all the fields, and they're all ready to be picked. And we've had really dry weather, so soon they'll be heading off to the elevators. And to me, it's heartwarming to know that we live in the part of the country that grows a lot of the corn for the world. And the little farm stand that's near us, it looks so cute. They've got it all decorated up for fall and have a lot of nice vegetables in it. So we went down to Covington, Indiana the other day, and as you can see, this tree had just one little branch with orange leaves on it, and it was so pretty. It was out in front of their library, and I took a picture of it, and then I told Kevin I wanted to go into my favorite antique store in our area called House with the Lions Antiques. It's in Covington, Indiana, on the Courthouse Square. The store is named after her original store, which was in her home. She lives in a beautiful big brick home that has two lions in front of it. And that's what she called her store when she lived there. She just always say it's the house with the lions. So when she got this store, which is actually the old Ben Franklin store that, gosh, I used to go to all the time to buy material and just buy everything. When she moved into it, she got a couple of lions and put out front, and she still calls it the House of the Lions. Now, this is an original, different pattern of the moss rose. I found that there are a lot of companies that had moss rose. They were just different. But you go in Carol's store, and she's got just a little bit of everything. She's got Victorian, she's got glass, she's got primitive, crocks, wooden bowls, furniture, a lot of flow blue, cranberry glass, all the things that I love. But when I go in there, her and I usually get to talking, and I don't look around as much as I'd like to, but she has a little bit of everything. So if you ever come to Covington, Indiana, just stop in her store. I thought these were neat. She had the pictures of several pictures of some weddings, and I got to thinking about how these people actually used the stuff that are in this store. They actually had these kinds of dishes and crocks and bowls and the furniture with the old rope stretched beds. I thought these were just gorgeous. There's a stack of dessert dishes with roses on them, but as you can see, they're like $48. That's why I thrift. I would love to have these for my little child's table, but there's so many of them. I only need either 2 or 4 for my little table, but they sure were pretty. And she has a lot of glass. Anything you were missing out of your pattern, she probably has it. And she had a lot of real pretty cake stands and children's dishes and these little hens on a nest. She had a whole cabinet full of those and a lot of cake stands. I didn't see any that I have, but she had a lot of them. And then she had a lot of little children's furniture, which I love. And I thought that little cabinet was so cute. It's kind of where I got the idea to take my old trash bin and make it into a child's cabinet. And she has some children's toys. This is up near the front window. And lots of dolls and children's books and lots of pretties. I just love to go in there and just walk around. And this is a punch bowl, pedestal punch bowl that kind of looks like my little one for my child's table. When I go in there, I always meet people from other areas. They come from far and wide to go to her store because it's so great. It's actually more than one story, too. I believe it's 3 stories. I know I go down in the basement a lot. And I found this. Now, this is in her store, but I found this at a thrift store the other day for $3, and I didn't buy it thinking, is that old or newer? And I made a mistake because apparently it's old. And then I thought, she decorates her tables. She's got a lot of tables and chairs with dishes, and she does the whole place setting. And I thought this was cute. One of her plates had this little fabric egg and bacon. I thought, well, that's kind of cute. I don't know if she made it. I forgot to ask her, but isn't that cute? And her tables are just beautiful. She has whole sets of dishes. So like I said, if you ever get to Covington, Indiana, go right on the Courthouse Square. There's other antique shops there. There's little coffee shops, restaurants, all kinds of places. Covington's a charming little town, and they have a beautiful big courthouse with beautiful murals that have been painted many years ago, and they're pretty famous. So check it out if you get near us. And then I did drive by the sunflower field the other day and finally got some pictures while it was daylight, but I almost missed them. They're bending over and they're just about ready to go, and the birds are getting to them. But it's so pretty, and there wasn't many places to park. It's right by a beauty shop and a little financial place, and all the parking spaces were taken. Now mine has got 27 blooms now, and my morning glories have topped the top of my bell pole. They're about a foot taller than my bell pole, and I'm getting far too many pictures of my sunflowers, but I've enjoyed them so much. Now, remember last week when I went into Goodwill and I saw these dishes and I wanted the little salad plates so badly, but I didn't want to break up the set. They were so pretty, and I've been thinking about them ever since. Well, I went in last night or a couple days ago, and the set has already been broken up, so I've got good news about that. This is another pattern of the moss rose by another company. There were several companies that carried moss rose. This was pretty. It was milk glass at the top, but the bottom of it turned to kind of a frosted glass maybe, and pearlized maybe, and then it turned into clear glass, and it was just beautiful. I had never seen anything like that. I take it that it's old because the bottom of it looked really old. Then they had a lot of these little houses that are little spice boxes or bottles. I thought they were awful cute, especially this little cottage. It was so pretty. And then they had a lot of little tiny glass salt cellars. And of course, I have a lot of salt cellars. I have a couple blue ones and green ones, and I don't know where they're at right now, or I'd put them in my little child's cupboard. But these were 99 cents, and I looked them over, and of course the first thing I thought was for my little table. So did I buy them? And then they had these cute little pictures and more little dishes for children. But a lot of these were actually too small for my table. I would rather use regular sized dishes in just the salad plates. But they were really pulling at me, all these little dishes. But I took it. I just took pictures. I didn't take any of these. And then I saw these cobalt glasses. I have purchased 4 of these at different times, but I've got a set of 4. And I thought about buying a couple more of these, but I didn't want to break up the set. And I really don't need them because I have 4, and that's plenty. But they're so darn beautiful. I just couldn't believe that they had so many all at once. And I thought, well, there you go. If you needed one, you could get it. And then I passed on this ice cube tray, even though it was very old and it was gold. I have a silver one, and I bought it at a thrift store, but I use it every day. And to me, these are the best ice cube makers ever. I don't like the plastic ones. I don't think we should be freezing plastic. But I passed on this one. It was $1.99, but I have my silver one, and I'll always have it. And then I'm looking up on the metal shelf, and I saw these 2 candelabras. One of them was bigger, but it was broken. The other one was smaller, and it was only $2.99. And I said, Marcy, those are pretty, but you don't need a $2.99 candelabra. But as I'm walking away from them, and someone had spray painted them too, like for a wedding, because they had a lot of other candle holders spray painted the same color. As I'm walking away, I heard this booming voice that came all the way from Tennessee, and it was Jeffrey Kevin saying, Marcy, get that candelabra. So I got the small one. I didn't get the big one because it was really broken, but I got the small one, and I told Jeffrey Kevin about it this morning, and he said, I never pass them up. And I said, well, I'm going to paint this one like a bronze or a prettier gold. And he said, oh, you and your paint. And I said, well, these were spray painted to begin with, so who knows what it's going to turn out looking like, but I'll make it look pretty, I promise, and I'll show it to you guys later. And then as I'm looking at dishes, I saw these real pretty blush pink dishes with flowers in the middle, look like roses. Silver around the middle part. Oh my gosh, they were so beautiful. They only had salad plates, a few saucers, a few bowls, the little berry bowls, which is what I need, and they had 1 dinner plate. So if I'd have taken the small pieces, it wouldn't have broken up the set. But I can't have that many sets of dishes, and I really had my sights set on those others. So I passed on these, but I wanted to show you how pretty they were. Now, this was the only different piece that they had, which was probably a sugar bowl. But the pattern was just so beautiful, and it was looked like a little child set. It really did. But here's those beautiful dishes. Now, like I said, the set was already broken up. All the dinner plates were gone. There was still the meat platter, but the serving bowls had been taken. The cups and saucers were gone. So I got 4 little plates, 4 berry bowls, and the creamer, which kind of looks like a vase or a, I don't know, I could use it for something. But look at this beautiful pattern. It's like burgundy around the edge, got some gold on it, all those pretty little flowers. It's just very antique. I kind of want all my little dishes for my table to look like antique dishes. I don't want any cartoonish or childish looking dishes. I want them all to look antique, and these are very old. I could tell by the stamp on the back that they were older. So I got them, and I didn't feel bad breaking up the set because I didn't break it up. Someone else had bought a lot of it because they had a ton of it last week when I was there. So I'm going to take good care of these, and they're going to make up my little child set. And someday I might find some, other pieces. I might find the sugar bowl that goes with that little creamer. But they're very pretty. I washed them when I got home and stacked them up. And to me, they qualify as a little child set. And yes, I did buy the little salt cellars. They had 2 that matched, so I picked those up. And I took them out my other things and put these in my cabinet. Now, I didn't show you these, but about 2 weeks ago, I found these 2 little cordials that had the real pretty, I call it Venetian gold because of the pattern around the edge, and I put them in with these dishes, and they'll go with all of my dishes. They're just gorgeous, and they're only about 4.5, 5 inches tall. They're just as sweet as they can be. So yeah, I finally got this little set, and I'm so tickled with it, and it's going to make a pretty little set. And I got to thinking about someday if I do have a granddaughter or even my great nieces, isn't it going to be fun to take them to my little dish cabinet and say, pick out what pattern of dishes you want to eat dinner on today, or have your little tea party on. It's just going to be so much fun for them and for me. So there's the little salt cellars. I'm going to dig around and find my green ones and my blue ones so that I can put those with some of the other dishes. But for 99 cents, I couldn't pass these up. And I really need to curb it on this stuff because I'm getting too much. But now I have a cabinet to display them in, and I have a cabinet to store them in. And I got to looking at these 2 pieces, which I got at different times totally. The little pitcher in the back that's only 5 inches tall, and the little butter dish that's an original antique child-sized butter dish, and they have the same pattern on them. Sometimes I don't notice that I have things with the same pattern until I get them side by side, and then I'm like, oh, those match. And that's the little pitcher that I found 2 of. And then this little berry bowl kind of looks like the little cruet that I got last week. So I kind of set those together. And like I said, when I got that little cruet, I wasn't thinking, oh, that'll match my berry bowls. But when I got it home, voila, they matched. Then at a yard sale just yesterday, I stopped at a yard sale because they had a whole table full of glass. I got this little Avon jar. I don't know if my big jar that I got at the estate sale for 50 cents is an old one. I think it is. I think it's old, and I think this little one is just Avon, and the other one's not. But I loved it, and it was only 25 cents. So I had to get it, and I put it on my secretary in my bathroom, and it'll hold something or it'll just sit there and look pretty. And then last but not least, I picked up this gorgeous big cutting board. It's glass. It's got horses all over it. I thought it was just horses, but it has a cowboy there riding one of the horses. But the rest of it's just horses and a beautiful sunset or sunrise. And I got it for a friend of mine who, her and her daughter, they're always competing in and judging equestrian events all over the Midwest. And she loves horses. And when I saw it, I thought of her immediately. And I have one of these. I showed it to you not too long ago that has the fruit on it. And then my friend Sherry gave me the one that's the Victorian postcard that's made into a glass cutting board. And the company that sells these does not sell them cheap. I've seen them anywhere between $29 and $35. And if you look on eBay, they're $50 and $60 sometimes. And this one is just in perfect condition. The little things on the back don't even look like it's been used, and I love it. I can't wait to leave it with her as a little surprise. Now, I think I showed you this in the past. Last year, I made a crock bench. I took these 2 boards and stained them red with the watered down paint. and I had quite a wide expanse. It was like 3 feet wide of boards in between. I had 2 shelves. Well, I put my Crocs on them, and the bottom shelf busted. Now, I'm real good at putting things together with nails and glue. I don't use screws. I didn't want screws on this because they wouldn't have used those back in the primitive days. So it busted. I put all the pieces out in the garage, and I used some of the shorter pieces on the boards for my child's cabinet I told you that were red. So the other day I got to thinking about a cabinet that Rosie had that was real tall and skinny that she had all of her cookbooks in, and it looked real primitive. So I went out in the garage and I took those 2 boards, and instead of having them be 3 feet wide, I just made it it's like 12 inches wide. And let's be honest, it's a little cookbook stand, but I just like to have little cupboards to decorate. And so I decorated it with all kinds of stuff. I did put a few little cookbooks in it, but most of my cookbooks are behind glass. But I haven't found a good place to sit it yet, but I love it. And I'm going to decorate it for all the seasons, and it doesn't take up much space. It's only about 3.5 feet tall, maybe 4 feet tall, and 12 inches wide. And I forgot to show you this little crock that I found at a yard sale the other day for 50 cents, and it's old. So I'm going to take you on the next video. We're going to take a tour of Brad's house. Brad has a huge collection of 2 or 3 different items, and I'm going to take you there and show you Brad's charming little house. And as always, you can follow me on Instagram at MarcyJoe631. I'm on Facebook on a page called I'm Home, and I so enjoy the fact that you guys are with me still, and you are sitting on the porch. I'm on the porch right now doing this voiceover, and you guys come to my porch and visit me all the time, and I love it. And I can't wait till the next video. I've got all kinds of things planned for it, and as always, I love you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I can't wait to see you again. And I have something kind of really important to tell you next time, so please join me.